When we get to this stage where the horses are about to actually race, and especially for the first time, as they're coming to the gate, are you making a note of who the horse is, and what are you thinking about, like a newly schooled horse, say, coming to its first race? What kind of things are you thinking, and what kind of things are the gate crew thinking?
Well, you mentioned the records that we keep, or the notes that we take, and we keep an extensive diary of notes on every horse, and some of those notes will indicate to us what we need to do to help the horse to break well in the afternoon, both to get him in the gate in a quiet fashion, to get him to stand well, and then to get him to break well. First-time starters, quite often you're concerned that it's a new circumstance for them. They might not act exactly as they did in the morning when you saw them. We even have an occasion on some of our racetracks where we might talk with the rider and suggest that, you know, this horse, he's drawn the inside post here, and being a first-time starter, he's likely to duck away from the field of horses, and we'll discuss with the riders. And they may, in fact, have been on a horse that we're not aware of, and as Richie said before, they'll tell us something about the horse, and we'll try to come up with the best solution to get him to break well.
It sounds like there's a lot of leading into a race from the moment you get into the paddock and get out on the track and are actually in a race. There's a lot of communication going on. What kind of things are being said? For instance, when you first arrive in the paddock, I notice a lot of times you'll walk right up to, is that the trainer or the owner that we mostly see you get in conversations with?
It could be either one or both. Now it seems like there's a lot of horses that have several owners, so a lot of pleasantries being exchanged, and you know, then it's generally strategy. You know, things you usually know already, things you've discussed in the mornings, but the trainer likes to reiterate those things so the owner gets kind of be included in on that.
Right.
And generally, after you've ridden a horse a time or two and you know them, there's not a whole lot to say. I mean, you both usually go in with the same idea about how the race should be run and open the gates, and who knows how it's going to be run. But the best instructions I like to get when I've never ridden a horse is his habits, what he might like. If he has some speed or he'd prefer to come from behind, he'd rather be inside or outside, and then let me kind of handle it. And that's what I do.
Right. Now, do you find that you get a lot more, I guess, cooks in the kitchen now that there are, instead of used to have single owners back in the old days, now you have these syndicates where it could be, you know, a dozen people owning a racehorse. Do you get a lot of that? Do you get a lot of differing opinions from different people as you come out to prepare for a race?
In certain circumstances, you do. Generally, what happens, though, is there's one spokesperson for a group of people, and generally that's the main person you have to deal with. But occasionally, you know, recently I rode a horse at Aqueduct, and I came into the tunnel, and the owner was waiting for me in the tunnel, and he told me that he really wanted his horse on the lead. And then I walked into the paddock, and the second owner said, you know, this horse really likes to come from behind. And then the trainer said, well, you know how he likes to run. He likes to be in the middle of the pack. So by the time I got on the horse, I was so confused. It was a no-win situation unless I won the race.
Right.
And then the way it worked out, the horse laid just off the pace. He won the race, and everybody said, see, I told you that's how he wanted to run.
You're absolutely right.
And I said, you know, you're right, and everybody was happy. But if he'd gotten beat, 3 people would have said I rode him the wrong way.
Right. Can't believe you didn't listen to me, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So now, when we talk about strategy in a horse race, like, what do you, from the jockey's perspective, you come up from the jockey room, and what are you thinking when you're thinking strategy?
Well, usually, like your horse might have a lot of speed, so he might be up towards on the lead, or he might be off the pace, which is just off the lead, or your horse might be a closer, like maybe coming from behind. So you kind of want to look at what type of, like if you have a closer, you might want to look at what type of speed might be in the race, and seeing if they're going to tire, or, you know, then if you're on a speed horse, you maybe want to see what other speed might be in the race to see that which horses might be running along with you. So you kind of want to look at the other competition in the race and figure out a strategy as to what you're going to do with your own horse.
Right. Now, it seems to me sometimes that you get a speed horse in a race and they come out of the gate. You know, Bob has done a good job. He's gotten him out of the gate. And the speed horse runs to the front of the pack and comes around that final turn, comes into the stretch, starts tiring. And it always, as being someone that watches a lot of it on television, you say, why did they let the speed horse run up front? Why didn't they hold it back? Can you hold up a speed horse back? And why not hold, like, kind of like pulling back the rubber band and then letting it go?
Well, it's not quite that easy. You know, some horses are very headstrong.
It looks really easy on TV.
Well, anytime, any morning, come on out. We'll get saddle you up and bring you on out there. No, some horses are very headstrong and rank, and
It's hard to hold them.
it's hard to hold them. Plus, you'll expend more of their energy restraining them than letting them run a little more freely. Some horses won't run well from behind horses because they don't take the dirt that's kicked back from the front runners in their face.
Right.
Or they're timid horses. They don't like to run in too tight of a group. Ideally, I never mind being in front if I get to dictate it my own way. If I get to set the pace that I want and kind of let my horse finish strongly, then it's fine to be in front. It's just when you have to go so fast, like a race like the Derby's a good example. You always have a big field. Everybody's very position conscious. And you always have 5 or 6 horses that probably don't belong in the race. And somebody wants to see their horse make the lead in the Kentucky Derby. So the pace is always a lot faster than it should be for that distance of a race. So it's a very hard race to win wire to wire.
Right, right. Who does a jockey work for? Who actually employs a jockey? Do you work for the Racing Association? Do you work for owners, trainers? How does that work?
Well, we all have agents, and we're employed by several different people on any given day.
Right.
You're constantly, the morning time for us is about auditioning for parts. Think of us like actors. We go around every barn, and that's a different part we're trying to get on a particular horse. And just like actors, we get a lot of doors closed in our faces until somebody gives you the right part, and that being good horses to ride. So we're employed by a lot of different people at any given time.
Are there